despite 8 rounds of talks with the farmers regarding this farm bill, we got right to the ninth round of talks is going on. How do you see this? In fact, farmers are not in a position to understand the government, or the government is not able to understand the position of the farmers. The farmers are planning for a massive rally, tractor rally on 26th January.
I do not know exactly what is it that is really upsetting the farmers of Punjab and Haryana.
Oh, what's good everyone? Welcome back to another video. Stick around to the end of the video as I will give you a list of just 10 of the million better spiritual gurus than Sadhguru. When the last tree is cut down, the last piece of flesh eaten, the last stream poisoned, and the last farmer handicapped, you will realize that you cannot eat money and breathe wealth. Imagine a world where the citizens have to rely on foreign media outlets for information. So if you guys don't already know, the largest protest is currently unfolding in the country of India. And yes, it's still going on. I don't think this is something that is getting enough attention, let alone if anyone is even talking about it. The corrupt government of India is passing a new farming bill which would impact 60% of its 1.3 billion population of people who are farmers. The legislation would cut farming industry down to its core as it breaks them away from a guaranteed price system which has been implemented there for as long as these farmers have been alive, and realistically it benefits massive corporations, so these massive companies can now exploit people who are farming and it'll help them drive down the prices, just like big corporations versus small businesses here in America.
So, it is important, I feel, because it's come this far and unnecessarily the farmers are sitting on the street, causing great inconvenience to rest of the citizens and a lot of torture to themselves. And the government is also not able to function properly because of these protests going on endlessly. So
go watch the news laundry video on this topic if you want to completely and better understand everything about the bill, as he goes into way more depth. I want to focus this video on the fake commercialized gurus that have been silent, so silent, and won't speak out on this important and urgent matter because they are just scared of their own guru business.
right now it's unfortunate that so many people are unnecessarily suffering. I feel it's a large-scale misunderstanding. I'm not saying on any one party. I think somewhere they didn't read it right and these people didn't understand what they're saying. And now Supreme Court has entered, and unfortunately we are kind of making all major institutions which matter for this nation kind of insignificant with this kind of debates and discussions going on everywhere and everybody having a pot shot at it. I feel it's time that the government makes this law into a recommendation.
And I was saddened to see that when Sadhguru finally decided to speak on the topic that he was helping to push this agenda. My dad has been warning me for a while now that Indian government needs the blessings of the gurus and the gurus need the blessings of the government. Also the fact that Sadhguru is working with the government as a ploy to help push agendas, just like the two-faced dirtbag we all know now to be a fraud, Mahatma Gandhi. What has Sadhguru done besides repeating the words of others? So here's some advice for Sadhguru from a 20-year-old man, and I'm quoting Swaminathan, India's leading agricultural scientist. Listen to the farmers carefully before you give them any advice. Let me repeat that. Listen to the farmers carefully before you give them any advice.
And every state can make their own amendments as they want, consulting their farmers according to their requirements. I see this as a way forward.
If you guys still want to dislike the video and disagree with me, I want you to go ahead and tell me in the comments down below how many more farmers need to hang themselves, how many of them need to starve to death, and how many times we should allow the Indian government to shut down the internet for its people. And when the internet is on, how many of the kids on the media should look up to gurus who continually try to discredit science textbooks, turn their backs on society and farmers struggling to feed their families. Stop education for better lives and instead follow bullshit like Sadhguru's inner engineering program and fake spirituality. When he uttered the words unnecessary suffering, if you haven't watched his video on Farm Bill, go watch it first. As it broke my heart, he sounded just like the people who were trying to discredit the pain and suffering from protesters here in America from the unjust black men shootings from cops. How can I support Sadhguru if he cannot support the people of his own country? No matter what he says, actions speak louder than words. And what has he done for the Indian farmers and protesters besides trying to discredit them and siding with the government? Now, you can still watch his video for advice if you want, but I won't trust
Sadhguru,
him
in
or
one
feel
of
his
your
words until he takes
uploads
20
on
grams of
YouTube,
psilocybin in front of
you
me.
speak of an experience where you've consumed the cobra venom, and you describe this experience as something where one part of yourself felt like you were in a state of slumber, while the other part of you felt like you were in a higher level of brightness. So, how do you perceive the use of other natural intoxicants such as weed or bhang, which take you to the same level of higher consciousness, but the only difference lies in the means which are adopted in reaching that higher level of consciousness?
Just look at my eyes and see, they're always stoned. World in this context, then the neurologist came up with this and said, the brain is expecting that you will produce cannabis within the system. It's not expecting you to
So
smoke.
everyone should get high using the secret technique method that you have developed somehow to unlock the cannabinoid receptors. But you literally just said you wouldn't trust people that are smoking weed like doctors. But then you're also saying that everyone can and everyone should get high using his own secret technique to unlock the cannabinoid receptors without actually smoking weed. That literally is hypocrisy. That just contradicts himself there, right? Doesn't even make any sense.
With that kind of mind, with that kind of a brain, if you enter the court and I'm putting my life in your hands, I don't want a cannabis-smoking lawyer for me. I don't want a cannabis-smoking surgeon to work upon me. Really, don't put your head down, just look at me and see. I'm always stoned. I never touch the substance. But is it true that this human mechanism is the most sophisticated chemical factory on the planet? Hello? So if you know how to manage this well, you can produce what you want in. But most human beings have become inefficient chemical factories, or they're just lousy CEOs managing a great factory. So they start smoking from outside.
I won't deny that the man has immense knowledge about almost everything and the capability to analyze all problems in a very strong and clear way, while being able to deliver his thoughts with great finesse. If he has helped anyone with their problems, that is great, but I bet I can share with you 10 more truly spiritual teachers, as I will no longer be listening to the man with an agenda. First we have Osho Rajneesh, and he talks about everything, but you can't hear his words, you can only feel them. He commonly talks about the idea of combining the subjective and the objective, the spiritual, artistic, and the scientific. My favorite video from him is called The Difference Between Escapism and Dropping Out. Sadly, he was killed by the Indian government in the past. Secondly, we have Guru Nanak and Guru Gobind Ji, who died in battle, 2 of the 10 gurus who have created the Sikh religion, in which they not only have life advice for their followers, but it also includes advice for people in other religions, and it's all written in the Guru Granth Sahib, a holy book. My favorite quote from Nanak is, "Conquer your mind and you can conquer the world." Thirdly, Muji. He is someone who is still alive and has great spiritual advice and gives good guidance. You can find him on his YouTube channel that has a vast number of videos on spirituality. My favorite quote from him is, "You need nothing to be happy, you need something to be sad." Fourthly, we have Buddha. If you haven't heard of him, you've been sleeping under a rock. He was a rich prince who decided to give it all up for a spiritual journey, and he traveled around with his followers who created the religion Buddhist, though they are atheists. My favorite quote from him is, "Every morning we are born again. What we do today is what matters most." Fifth, we have a musician and a revolutionary, Bob Marley. Go listen to any of his timeless songs and you will not only feel happy but feel courageous to take on any challenge. My favorite song from him, it's hard to pick one, but I would go with "No Woman, No Cry." And my favorite quote is, "Possessions make you rich. I don't have that type of richness. My richness is life forever." And the Jamaican government also attempted to assassinate him, but he eventually died of cancer. Since I don't want to make this video too long, I can make another one focusing more on spiritual teachers and go into depth. If you guys want me to, just comment down below. But here's a list of a couple more: Alan Watts, Lao Tzu, J. Cole, False Entity, Soul Illuminati. Yeah, I'm putting Soul Illuminati on here. And of course, Jesus Christ. Also, here's a bonus one for you guys if you ever don't have access and the government shuts down the internet or burns your textbook. This is the most important, and it is your inner voice. There is no better spiritual teacher and guide for you than the inner voice inside you, as that is God talking to you directly. I'm talking about the voice that lets you empathize, be charitable, inspire you to be productive, creative, and tell you to go help the old lady cross the street. It gives you courage to stand up for what is right. It breaks the idea of morality, and it makes you go out to protest and help support your fellow community, and it helps you take on the world in a positive direction rather than focusing on your selfish desires and pushing others' corrupt agendas. Depending on your life, you will have either a strong voice or a quiet one, and it's your job to strengthen, understand, and develop that voice. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and please spread awareness for the protests and the farmers that's going on in India, and also spread awareness for what Sadhguru is actually up to. I mean, I remember there were some other stories that come out about him in the past too, and you know, I used to love listening to him. I probably still will listen to some of his advice, but you know, yeah, there was something going on where he was stealing land from people, or there was like he stole like elephant land or something. But I don't know, man. There's always some suspicious stuff going around him. You know, these are all allegations. None of it's all like fully true, but I can just go off of what I see with my own eyes and what I hear, and the feeling that I get from him. You know, compared to all these other people, the feeling that I get from him is just not the same. I also watched the Impulsive interview with him, and you know, he talks about experiencing everything, but he said he doesn't want to ever do drugs, which is kind of suspicious to me. I don't know, man. Some of the things he just said are just suspicious, but I hope you guys have a good day, and I'll catch you guys next time.
The moon is on fast forward today. All the 28 days, all the 28 phases of the moon you see right here. The cooked food will go through the phases of its deterioration much more rapidly in a subtle way than it does on a normal day.
Now, this has got bullshit written all over it. Eclipses and phases of the moon are two completely different things. This is the shape of the moon that you can only get during an eclipse, and these are shapes that you can only see as a phase of the moon. This is because eclipses are caused by shadows that are cast either by the earth on the moon or by the moon on the earth. Lunar eclipses happen because the earth casts a shadow on the moon. Now, phases of the moon are caused because the sun is the only light source in the solar system, and when a sphere like the moon is lit up by a single light source and you see it from different angles, different directions, that gives you phases of the moon. Now, I'm sure everyone understands why eclipses happen, but in case you don't have the best idea of how phases of the moon happen, check out this video. This channel does a great job of demonstrating how the phases happen. So because eclipses and phases are two completely different things, you cannot say that food ages 28 days during an eclipse. That's terrible logic, and absolutely nothing happens to your food during an eclipse. My previous video was on just that. Check it out if you like.